and shine, YouTube. Today we got a good video for you guys. Today we're going to take a look at my top gaming mice of 2023. Now, there aren't 10 gaming mouse. There isn't more than about 5, okay? So, when it comes down to it, a lot of people don't even use 2, 3 different mice. They use one for the rest of the year. So, I'm going to talk about the ones that I think are the best, especially for small hands. So, if you're a small-handed gamer like me, you came to the right place. So strap in, take those socks off. Socks? Whoa! Take those socks off, and let's go. Before I talk about my top mice of 2023, I want to say all these mice were actually purchased myself. Nothing was actually sent out for review, so there you go. We're going to talk about the X2V2 Mini and the X2H Mini first, because these are some of my favorite mice that have released. And well, Pulsar did a damn good job on the shapes for smaller hands. I have 16 by 9 hands, and these mice fall very, very, very well into the hand, and I can pretty much perform at my top with any of these two mice, with one being a slightly better performance in my hand than the other. The shape profile on the X2V2 Mini, it's been the main for the longest time on the channel because of its shape. It's very, very comfortable in hand. I can throw my hand on it and go from there, right? My thumb and pinky are in line with the sensor, and I think that's pretty vital when it comes to how like you use a mouse for smaller hands and for just in general, because I think you get better stabilization in your tracking when your fingers are in line, right? Because when it comes down to it, you're not guiding the mouse with your index and your middle finger. You're guiding it with kind of your side fingers, right? You can even say that you can bring your ring finger and your thumb, put them in line with the sensor, and kind of go into like a more precise kind of like pencil grip style. Leave your pinky off to the side and go from there. But I hate having my pinky floating, so I grip the sides with my thumb and my pinky, with my ring finger being a little higher. That's a little kind of theory of mine, though. When it comes to the shape profile on the X2V2 Mini, the sides are very flat. You don't have no outer flares that are kind of awkward. You have no inward curves that put your fingers closer together to make them cramp, right? This mouse just does everything very, very well. I do find this mouse to be pretty much tuned for the fingertip user, because the M1 and M2 isn't super aggressive and the hump isn't super tall, right? It's very more recessed and more relaxed kind of a shape. That's why I always say that the X2V2 Mini is the safest, probably small mouse on the market for smaller hands. I throw my hand on the mouse and I move and groove, right? I've never had any issues, never get tired, nothing like that. The clicks on M1, M2, and the side buttons are nice, crisp, and clicky. The scroll wheel is very, very smooth. The actuations on each step aren't super pronounced, so I can see people kind of accidentally scrolling. But I never have any issues with that because I move my finger to the scroll. I never have my finger pretty much pressing up against the scroll wheel. So if you click here, you can accidentally scroll it, which I never do. My only issue with this mouse is the coating. I think the black coating is kind of little because it picks up fingerprints very, very easily. And it just, in hotter climates, when it's hotter outside or it's hotter in the house, it just doesn't feel very good. It gets a little clammy, a little kind of sticky. So there you go. But what kind of knocks my main out, the X2V2, what kind of knocks this mouse out is the X2H Mini. Now, the shape profile on this one is very different. I never actually reviewed it, so this is going to be a kind of small little short review. The side profile on it, the M1 and M2 kind of slope is more aggressive, where the back hump is taller and a little kind of, it's just a bigger, taller hump than the X2V2 Mini. Both of the lengths of the mice are the same. It just comes in an overall shape profile. It's going to feel very different in hand between the two. How I hold the mouse, right? My thumb, my pinky, once again, sit in line with the sensor, but you can tell that where the wideness kind of meets the more narrow of the waist and gets more flat, my pinky sits here, and my thumb sits over here. So I get a nice kind of locked in feeling, but I can also kind of move the mouse around in hand when I need to. Now, why does this mouse particularly knock off the main, the X2V2? I find that my tracking on the X2H mini is better on the X2V2 mini because of that taller hump profile. I pretty much come in to a more aggressive claw, which I think this mouse pretty much caters to that grip style, where the X2V2 mini caters towards the fingertip. But since you are in more of a claw grip, tracking seems to be more stabilized, right? You don't have your fingers kind of getting fatigued like they would on a fingertip grip on pretty much any mouse, because your fingers have, you're counting on you're counting on like just smaller muscles in your hand, where when you kind of get into a more aggressive claw style, you have more hand on the mouse. So you're going to get less fatigue, right? You're using larger muscle groups to control the mouse itself. And overall, it feels to me that I perform better in tracking and everything just in general on this mouse itself. The shape profile, right? Like I said, it's wider here, and it kind of comes in right here, and it gets more flat, right? So it's wide, comes in, and kind of flattens out. You don't have any outward flares that come out and are more annoying, right? Where if you kind of place your hand and you want to fingertip grip this mouse, right, you can, but I would also say that this mouse is just more tuned for that aggressive claw. Overall, right, clicks on the X2H, nice, crispy, just like the X2V2. The difference is the scroll wheel is more tactile. It's not as smooth, but it's probably better for the overall consumer base, right? And the coating, I think, is much better on the white one versus the black because it picks up less fingerprints, and in hotter climates, it doesn't really get kind of sticky or clammy. So overall, the main going forward is probably going to be the X2H mini until a mouse releases later on, the Beast X mini, because, well, one mouse that really, really surprised me of 2023, which is my actual number 2 mouse overall just ever, is this guy, the WLmouse Beast X. When it comes down to this mouse kind of blew up in 2023 because, one, everybody thought that, even myself, thought WLmouse was a scam, right? They were not real, but I can tell you that they're very much real, and they have really just outdid themselves with the Beast X. The colorway on this is beautiful. You have the right-hand side Phoenix just popping. You have the blue on black, the accents, the different colors. It's just so beautiful, and I love using this mouse pretty much because of how badass it looks. The mouse is a magnesium alloy mouse. It's around 40-something grams, right? The scroll wheel is very pronounced in its steps. It is pretty smooth, right? People might think it's a little stiff, or it is stiffer than most, but it's not a bad stiff at all. The clicks are very smooth. They're very light to actuate, and they're probably the lowest sounding, right, clicks that I have used. I love them just a lot. Side clicks as well, very light, crispy, and so forth. Where this shape kind of plays a role with smaller hands is this shape mimics the Starlight Medium to the T. I bought the ULX Lion, and that mouse had such shit QC that I sold it right away, and I picked this guy up, and I am very happy with my decision, right? To the point where the X2H mini and the Beast X mini have been pretty much being swapped back and forth depending on what I want to use just any time of the day, right? I can swap back and forth between the two and still perform at some of my best performance in any game that I play. The finals, Overwatch. I don't play Apex anymore because that game is just absolute dog shit. Tarkov, I've been playing a lot. The arena, get a little more kind of different game where you need that very precise shot, and you just kind of need very fluent motions in Tarkov as well. Shape profile, like I said, is the ULX Lion Mimic, right? Clone. It's a Final Mouse clone, but it does the job better than Final Mouse. Why? QC is top tier, S tier, across the board, right? I have no issues with post-travel, pre-travel. There's no flexing. There's no, I don't have any integrity issues on the shell, right? Nothing. I don't press deep down in the back pockets, right? And it just works, right? Such a damn good mouse, and I will actually put the referral link below. I don't really do that in my channels because I don't want to seem like I'm pushing stuff on you guys, but I will post the referral link to this mouse because I find this to be one of the top mice of the year, right? And just overall mice releases ever is the WLmouse Beast X, right? It does compete with my X2H, right? Even though the X2H Mini is, I would consider a main, these two just, they battle because I like both of them so much. The holes. A lot of people might not buy the WLmouse Beast X because of the holes. I can tell you right now that the holes are not kind of a downside of the mouse. I do wish they were solid because it would make the mouse make the mouse endgame pretty much for a lot of people. But I don't have issues with it. I grip the mouse just like this. My thumb sits right kind of in between the thumb hole. But I don't find it to be annoying. It doesn't really come across my mind when I'm gaming. I don't like using grips on any of the mice that I use because grips kind of are just, I think they suck. And, well, the holes on the sides aren't an issue. A lot of people play it off as the holes are just shit, they're terrible. Nah, they're over dramatic. Holes feel very nice. Now if your thumb is like super like curved maybe, but I have no issues. I feel like you get a better grip because you can kind of like get a nice strong grip where the holes are and go from there. Where this mouse kind of excels, I also think this mouse is more of a fingertip style mouse because of the shape profile, right? The hump, downward slope, right? It's very, very relaxed, and it is the longer mouse out of the bunch that you see on the table, so a fingertip grip style would be very, very keen. And my hand size, right, I don't have an issue of me needing, like, it's too long where my fingers are placed on this hole. No, my fingers are placed right on the clicks, and I can do whatever I need with this mouse. So, the three mice that you see, number one, number two, or number one and number one, right? The Beast X and the X2H Mini, right? Beast X, X2H Mini, my top two mice of 2023. But we got two more mice to look at, which come in at 4 and number 5. Next up on the list, we have the Viper Mini Signature Edition. The most expensive mouse that you will see on this table, and that you would probably be able to purchase right on the market. It is another magnesium mouse coming in around the same weight, kind of the same weight as a WLmouse, where they don't feel much different at all. Difference is you have solid sides versus the holes on the side, but this mouse is also pretty much double the price of the Beast X. The shape profile on the Viper Mini, right? You have kind of a narrow back end that curves inward, and it has that outer flare, right? So outer flare coming in and coming out. My thing with this is my second Viper Mini that I've had because I wanted to revisit the shape after using the Beast X. And overall, I will still recommend this for smaller hands if you like the Viper Mini, because this shape is much different than the Beast X with its side profile. You have that nice, tight middle grip, right, for the waist of this mouse, and when it comes down to it, my fingers do get placed very, very close, right, but I never find my fingers to be cramped up. This outer kind of flare sometimes, right, depending on your grip, will get in the way, which is my only issue with the shape on the Viper Mini Signature Edition, is that outer flare. How I grip the mouse though, right, my thumb sits right in the middle, and my pinky, my ring sit on the side. But you can tell, right, with this, my ring finger really kind of sits on the outer flare, where it's not as comfortable as the other mice that I've shown prior, but if I kind of tilt the mouse like how I normally grip it, that outer flare pretty much goes away. So it depends on where you hold the mouse if you're going to like this mouse or not, right? If you hold the mouse lower, right, you might find your fingers to get a little crampy here and there. But if you hold it a little farther up, if you have smaller hands, it's going to be much, much more comfortable. So overall shape, right, I would say is a good, solid shape for smaller hands. This is why one of my top mice, because I do perform very well on this mouse. Finals tracking was perfectly fine, right? Getting aces in Tarkov Arena, or not Arena, Arena, I've gotten a few of them with this mouse, and it's super, super satisfying to get that, right? The clicks are nice and crispy. They are louder than the WLmouse, which, I mean, I don't have an issue with it, but I do prefer the WLmouse clicks over the Viper Mini clicks. The side clicks are nice, soft, not super clicky, comparing the WLmouse. But overall, shape, performance, everything was spot on. The battery life was definitely better on the Viper Mini versus the Beast X, where I found the Beast X to lack in battery life. That's my only issue with the WLmouse is battery life. The final kind of thing about the Viper Mini, right? The scroll wheel is super smooth. It actuates very nice and quick. It's a better actuation than the Beast X. But overall feeling, same magnesium feeling, right? It's very, very good. Both magnesium mice feel good once it gets cold. It gets nice cold to the touch. I just really like that feeling. Is this mouse my main? No. This is my number 4 of 2023, right? And then we're going to talk about my number 5. And before we move on, the performance on this mouse, I use most of my 4K mice on 2K. I never go to 4K. I definitely don't use the Viper on 8K because, I mean, most games, you really don't get that benefit from 8K. And it just really, really drains the battery on 8K, right? If you don't have a high-end CPU, 8K is going to be unusable. And just, I stick with 2K because you get that slight extra smoothness from 1K, which you don't really feel. And 2K versus 4K, I mean, I think it's more placebo over anything, right? So, overall, performance, skate-wise, super, super good. You get glass skates in the box. You get all the cool accessories. You can see that in my Viper Mini review down in the list. And there you go. The WLmouse, though, definitely beats out the Viper Mini when it comes into shape and just looks, in my opinion. It's just a much cooler mouse to look at and a better shape for smaller hands. This is why this isn't going to be a main, but it is still in my top for small hands. Last up, we are going to talk about a nice budget mouse that you can pick up from MetKeys. Now, when it comes down to egg shapes, my favorite egg shape was the Orochi V2 from Razer. But this mouse mimics that shape pretty much to the T, where it is just ever so slightly more narrow. But performance-wise, this can go up to 4K. It has better switches. You don't have to use a battery. And it's a lot lighter. This mouse has a kind of like a thumb groove, where my thumb sits right into that groove. And the right-hand side is just more on the flatter side that follows that egg shape. So, how I hold this mouse, right? My thumb sits right in that groove, and my fingers kind of just come across. Ring and pinky sit right in line with the sensor. And it's super, super easy to fling around. The skates, right? These are stock skates. I find these to be very, very good stock skates. And they're just very nice. Shape, it's an egg shape, right? If you're tuned to, or if you like the Orochi V2, I would recommend this over the Orochi all day, every day, because it's lighter. It feels pretty much spot on like it. And, like, you can't beat that, right? If you like egg shapes, you have small hands, easily pick this guy up. It's like 50-something bucks from MetKeys. Overall, clicks, feeling, they're nice, crispy. I think they're Huano switches. The left side buttons, no mush, very easy. They protrude out of the mouse, kind of more than most of these other mice, so it feels damn good. Scroll wheel, tactile, you do feel the steps, right? Clicks are nice. And overall QC on this mouse is damn good, right? There's no side flex, right? I can squeeze this hard. It's not pretty much flexing. and you don't have any issues with sensor tracking or anything like that on this mouse as well, because all these mice, right, the sensors are pretty much tuned in a way where you're not gonna feel like it's a shit sensor. They're all damn good performers. That's why they're all my top mice of 2023. My only issue with this mouse, though, is you can hit the side of the scroll wheel and actuate it, which is weird to me. And it doesn't. It's not a different macro. You can't macro that. It's the actual like click of the scroll wheel. Where if I move it to the right, it doesn't click. But if I move it to the left, it clicks. But I never really have an issue with it because I click straight down. Overall coating, right? It feels damn good. There's no slipperiness. There's no finger pickup. Good mouse, right? I would actually put the size and the shape feel, right, over the Viper Mini because you don't have that outer flare on the top end, right? It doesn't feel awkward. It fits. You can actually get like you can get a little bit of a claw grip going if you have smaller hands like me. But once again, I think this mouse does play a huge role in fingertip, and it's used by that. Overall, though, right, performance on all of these mice, battery life on all these mice are pretty good with the exception of the Beast X, right? Beast X having probably the worst one out of the bunch. But it is what it is. The Beast X Mini is releasing soon. That's why I'll also put the review or the referral link below. You can purchase the medium or the mini through it, and it helps my channel out a lot. And I might be able to do a giveaway here and there once I get more from that referral link. So, the top mice of 2023 for me are all what you see before you. Every single shape, right? They're all comfortable. They're all usable. They're all something that I can sit here, game on for hours and hours on end without ever feeling cramped up, right? Out of the bunch, these two will be, well, like I said, competing for the main, and these three, right, are just more options for you guys to choose from. I love them. I loved the difference in every single one of these shapes. They're all different shape profiles, they're all different feels, and they choose to meet the expectations for every small-handed user and to medium hand mouse or medium hand gamers out there, right? So if you liked this review, if you found this review to be a kind of a good understanding of what mouse to pick up from the releases of 2023, hit that like, hit that sub button because we have some more reviews coming later on. And there you go. So the top mice 2023 you see before you, damn good. I recommend any one of these. You just go from there. So, love you guys. Rise up. God bless. And we'll see you for the next review.